Also, if you're watching on YouTube, man, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell next time I go live. I'm gonna try to go live every Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like right now, just to go over some sort of Colts-centric article or something that, just needs to be addressed. That's how I feel about it. It needs, once a week, we need to have a nice little live discussion where people can ask questions or do comments, and I could reply to that, let everybody know how I feel. Or if I mean, it's possible I could have some inside information. I know a lot of people who cover the Colts. I know a lot of people inside the Colts organization. So this could be fun. This could be interesting. This is the first time I've actually attempted doing this. Let me go down here and copy this and put this in my live chat. There we go. There we go. All right. So, what are we talking about here? Obviously, we're talking about the Colts secondary. They had issues last year. Massive issues last year. Let's actually go into the Colts stats. And check it out, shall we? In team rankings, oh my. Opponent passing yards per game. And Indianapolis was 23rd. Averaging 248.9 yards per game last year. Not good, right? I mean, that's not good. And there's a reason for that. And to be honest, I don't think that had anything to do with the actual personnel. It was, I think, had a lot to do with the scheme. Okay? Matt Eberflus loves the zone defense. Loves zone defense. And zone defense, the way he has his players, they play deep zone, right? They're way off anybody. They're not covering anyone specifically. If someone comes inside their area, they step back, go to their area, watch the quarterback. That's what they're doing. They're watching the quarterback. If the quarterback turns to them and starts to throw the football, they react to that direction to go to whoever he's throwing it to tackle. They legitimately let the catch happen. That is Matt Eberflus's entire scheme. Let him have the short underneath passes and then come up and tackle immediately. So what the Colts do is they give up really high completion percentages to opposing teams and quarterbacks because of this zone scheme. Now, the benefit to this is twofold. One, first off, your eyes are in the backfield at the quarterback. If the quarterback decides they want to take off with the football, then the entire defense can then just collapse around them. Their backs ain't turned. They're all facing and watching. And that is incredibly beneficial when you're playing against scrambling quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, guys like that. Guys who are known to take off and scramble. Another benefit of that is that you're not giving up a lot of big plays. You're allowing the underneath plays and coming up and making tackles. The whole secondary collapses on wherever that ball is thrown to. So you don't end up giving a lot of big yards after catch in a zone defense. And you're making the team that you're playing against legitimately walk the field doing short passes. The way Matt Eberflus's ideology works on this is basically, hey, make them run 10, 11, 12 play drives without making a mistake. They have to do that in order to score touchdowns. That's where the bend but don't break philosophy comes from. You bend, you allow those easy completions, those short, easy completions, but don't break. Don't let the big play happen. Don't let guys like Patrick Mahomes just burn you downfield with, Hill or Watkins for 60, 70-yard bombs for touchdowns like they're known for doing. Make him work the field. Now, in a man defense, the benefits of that is you got someone on everybody, which means a quarterback has to go through his progressions and has to make very accurate passes. But the problem with it is one simple mistake and you're burnt deep for a touchdown. One simple mistake, and that's all it takes. Plus, after a completion, if that receiver breaks the tackle or gets away, who knows how many other defensive backs back there are seeing who currently has the football because they have their hands, they're physically on somebody else, watching where they move, mimicking, shadowing the receiver. So they're not watching where the ball is. They're watching the receiver. So it could take them a few seconds to even realize that the ball's been thrown and the guy's running down the field. Now, there are times for both. There are times for both zone and man defense. And I'll get to that in a moment after I break down the Colts secondary. Okay? Because honestly, the Indianapolis Colts secondary is not nearly as bad as what you might believe. It looked awful if you go by stats. If you watch the games and see, well, heck, teams were just making easy completions to wide open receivers all the time. Of course they were wide open. They were being led into holes between the zones. There's nothing that the players can do about that. That's part of the scheme. That's on Matt Eberflus. Because that's the scheme that he's wanting to run. I'm going to tell you what the biggest pickup this offseason was to help the pass defense. Easily. Was it Xavier Rhodes? No. TJ Carey? Julian Blackmon? Nope. Isaiah Rodgers? None of those guys. None of those guys were the biggest reason why I think this pass defense will be even better, much better than what they were last year. The biggest help for the pass defense, that addition this offseason came from the first round draft pick, the 13th pick of the NFL draft. That's right. The trade for DeForest Buckner from the San Francisco 49ers. And you might be thinking, well, hell, how in the world does a defensive tackle help a secondary, let alone help a secondary that much? It's pretty damn simple, honestly. Pretty damn simple indeed. It's called getting pressure on the quarterback, making him throw sooner. It also, you don't have to blitz as much because of DeForest Buckner, because that guy takes on double teams. The guy beside him that normally was playing nose tackle, Grover Stewart, the 350-pound nose tackle, he was the guy that took double teams. Now, if Grover Stewart's on the line beside DeForest Buckner, who are you double teaming? You double teaming the 350-pound massive strong guy? Or are you double teaming the all-pro, consistent Pro Bowl, three-tech defensive lineman DeForest Buckner, who, if you don't double team him, will wreck you in the backfield? Obviously. You're double teaming DeForest Buckner. And what does that do? That allows guys like Justin Houston and Kimoko Toure, Al-Qadim Muhammad, Danico Autry, Ben Banogu, all these guys, that allows them one-on-one on the edge. There's no help for these guys on the edge. And Justin Houston showed last season what he can do when he's one-on-one. There was a lot of times he was double-teamed. When he was one-on-one, the man was creating a lot of pressure. What, he had 10.5, 11 sacks last season? Tons of pressures and quarterback hits. Kimoko Toure in his second season before he got knocked out of the NFL due to injury at the end of the Kansas City game, led all pass defensive ends in quarterback pressure percentage. Like, for every snap, percentage-wise, he got pressure on the quarterback. He led all defensive ends. That's impressive. Now, if that kid can stay healthy with Justin Houston on the other end, DeForest Buckner, Grover Stewart, that means you only have to rush with 4 people. You don't have to blitz nearly as much. You ain't got to send Kenny Moore on a blitz, who's, by the way, great at, one of the best cornerbacks in the league at covering the slot position. You ain't got to send Darius Leonard on blitzes all the time, which, by the way, again, hell of a coverage linebacker. I mean, he had, 5 interceptions last year? That says something. 7 passes defense? That says something. Yeah, I said something about the Tampa 2 earlier. I'll get back to it here in a minute. I liked Tampa 2, Schralis. I really did. I liked it for the fact that this was a new scheme for the Colts at the time. It was a simple scheme. It was a safe scheme. It was something good for guys that are just trying to learn the players around them and the scheme and how Eberflus runs. But I'm telling you, I think the Colts will play a lot more man coverage this year. And I'm getting to that as to why. I think the Colts can get a lot more man press because they can get a lot more pressure off those front 4. And if they send a 5th man to blitz, like, let's say, Darius Leonard, Bobby Okereke, even Anthony Walker Jr., Kari Willis from the safety position, that means they're going to get pressure on the quarterback a whole lot faster. He ain't going to be able to sit in that pocket for 4, 5, 6 seconds. He's going to have to make a decision, snap, real quick. Which means guys in the secondary, guys like Kenny Moore, guys like Xavier Rhodes, Rock Ya-Sin, TJ Carey. Those guys, they can get up and play man press. And that'll leave Malik Hooker to sit in his natural position instead of being up on the line of scrimmage. He can sit back, and whenever a ball is slightly overthrown or tipped, he can take advantage of it. Be in position to take advantage of it. Last season, he was up near the line of scrimmage too much. That's why there was more passes thrown deep. How many times did you see Malik Hooker within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage? It's not something you want to see him at. You want to see him 15, 20 yards past the line of scrimmage, waiting for the overthrow. And if you got pressure on a quarterback, you're going to see very bad passes a lot of times. It's going to help Malik in his long-term progression. This is why I think where a lot of people are like, well, Malik Hooker's not that good. Malik Hooker wasn't even used right. Period. He wasn't used right. I think him and Kari Willis will make a great combination. Kari Willis has the athleticism to cover if needed. He's not great at covering, but he can. Better than Clayton Geathers ever did. Plus, he's a great box safety. Now on 3rd and long, that's where you take Kari Willis out, right? You take Corey Willis out and you put Julian Blackmon right beside Malik Hooker. Oh my God, at the safety. Then Malik Hooker only has to cover half the field. Julian Blackmon can cover half the field. You got two ball hawks in the backfield of the safety position on 3rd and long. That's nasty. That's just nasty. You'll see a lot more turnovers this year just because of DeForest Buckner. I can't emphasize how important DeForest Buckner was. How important the pickup was for the Indianapolis Colts. I want to thank again Skullmat 28, Paul and Broncos 19, and National Love 95 for joining me here on Sportscaster. Again, guys, if you're watching, please hit the like and subscribe. And don't forget, check out my note on YouTube. Check out the description of the video down below. That way you can see where you can follow me and places that you could donate to help keep me going. Really appreciate that. Please subscribe. I need 1,000 subscribers in order to get to Super Chat. I'd love to get that going. Not just for myself, but for you guys as well. So thank you. So where do I expect them? I mean, I don't expect them to sit where they were last year. I don't expect them to be 23rd in the NFL in pass defense next year. I really don't. I expect them in the top 20. Probably 15 to 18 seems like a reasonable position, especially since I think they'll probably play zone, that Tampa 2 zone coverage that Shrey was talking about here on YouTube. I think they'll play that usually on 1st and 2nd down. Or, on short yardage. If it comes to 3rd down or 2nd and really long, like 2nd and 15 or something like that, I could see them going to man press. I really can. I could see them going to man press to put pressure on the quarterback on passing situations. And leaving Blackmon and Hooker as safeties just to make sure that nothing gets, over the top. I think that's the smart way of going about things. I think that the Indianapolis Colts, Matt Eberflus, he's smart. He played more man coverage last year. He did. A lot more. The problem was you saw Malik Hooker in the man coverage, like covering someone one-on-one. I don't like that. I don't think Malik Hooker has the skill set to cover someone one-on-one. Julian Blackmon can do that. Malik Hooker is the free safety who could sit in the backfield, watch the quarterback, and then go after wherever he throws the football. That's where I want Malik Hooker to stay. That's what I want to see from the Indianapolis Colts this upcoming season, especially considering the teams they play this year. I mean, good Lord. Now, I just got done picking, and I kid you not. I picked the Colts to go all the way to week 9 before they lose their first game. I mean, they got 4 preseason games. They got the Eagles, the Redskins, the Bills, the Bengals. Now, from what I'm understanding, the first 2 weeks of the preseason might be gone. They might not be playing the Eagles or the Redskins. They'll probably play the Bills and the Bengals. Just, quick refreshers so that the Colts can, like Frank Reich, can decide, who's going to be on the team, who's not. Who's going to make that 53-man roster. And possibly a 16-man practice squad, because the NFL right now is actually discussing increasing. The CBA and the NFLPA and the NFL just actually signed an agreement this past year increasing the practice squad from 10 players to 12 players. They're now discussing, because of the COVID-19 situation, to increase it this year only to 16 players, which I think would be an absolute brilliant, smart idea. That way you got guys to bring back and forth from the practice squad rather than having to sign someone off the street. guys that will already know your scheme, know the players around them, stuff like that. It won't hurt the team nearly as bad as someone comes down with COVID-19. If someone comes down with that stuff, so smart move. I hope they pass that. Now the first week against the Jaguars, the Jags will probably be running the ball a lot. They got a couple decent receivers. I mean, obviously they got Chalt. They picked up, I think they picked up Chenault as well, if I'm not mistaken, which I think will be a huge benefit to Gardner Minshew. But I don't see the secondary being as big of a deal there. I think the Vikings game is where you'll see a lot more man press. And you're like, why would you see man press against the Vikings? And I'll tell you why. Hey, Brandon Ace, how good do you think the pass rush is going to be? Oh, I've already discussed that earlier, man. I discussed it earlier. I think it's going to be stupid. I think it's going to be stupid good with DeForest Buckner. I mean, can you imagine on first and second down having DeForest Buckner at the 3 tech, the nose tackle, you got big 350-pound Grover Stewart, who normally takes double teams anyhow, and then with DeForest Buckner, who you have to double team or he just completely wrecks a game, that right there is 3 or 4 blocks, right? And then you got Justin Houston on one side, Kimoko Toure on the other. That's just nasty. I think that'll allow the linebackers to be able to help more with the pass defense, and free them up to stop the run game. Oh yeah. So, and obviously, if you want to send Khari Willis or Kenny Moore, or I don't like, as good as Kenny Moore is at blitzing, I don't like him blitzing. I would rather him be plastered on a receiver. Let Okereke or Leonard or Khari Willis or even Anthony Walker Jr. blitz. I think that's a smarter move. Because Kenny Moore's our best coverage guy. And that slot receiver is the guy who quarterbacks are going to want to throw the football to, first and foremost, if they're under pressure right away from your front four. So that's kind of counteracting, right? You don't want to blitz with the guy who's covering the guy who's the best at covering the person that the quarterback most likely is going to throw the football to. Either him or the running back, right? Let's not do that. Great, now I just lost where I was at. Where was I, guys? I can't remember. Oh, Bravo Mo 1982, thanks for joining the stream here on Sportscaster as well. Yeah, I don't see it. Oh yeah, that was on the schedule. Okay, the Vikings. Why I think playing more man press will help against the Vikings game. Well, first off, they don't have Diggs no more. They got Jefferson from the draft, but they don't have Diggs no more. That's the deep threat. Gone. Adam Thielen's good, but he's not the speed guy that Diggs was. And they most likely, from what I'm seeing, won't have Cook. They won't have Dalvin Cook beginning of the season. He straight said he wants Christian McCaffrey money, or he's going to hold out. If the Minnesota Vikings give Dalvin Cook Christian McCaffrey money, I will have lost utter and all complete there will be no respect for that front office of the Vikings. Cook does not deserve Christian McCaffrey. First off, he hasn't stayed healthy enough to do that. He's only been healthy for 1 year. He's got similar skill sets, but even then, last year he was healthy, but he didn't have the same stats. You know, that Christian McCaffrey was a one-man show on the Panthers. Dalvin Cook was never a one-man show for the Vikings. He's important, but he's not a one-man show. Don't give the guy one-man show money. So if he's not playing against the Vikings, if he's not playing with the Vikings against the Colts week 2, their run game is going to be a lot weaker. which means they'll probably pass the ball a lot more. They'll find themselves in passing situations a lot more. 3rd and long, 2nd and long. And that's the case. That's where you're going to see your man press 5-man blitzes happen quite a bit more. I think that's a game that is going to open up a lot of eyes in the NFL. I think the Colts are going to not only beat the Vikings, I think they're going to blow them out. And I'm pretty sure it's in Minnesota. No, it's at Indy. Okay, it's at Indy. But either way, I think they blow them out that game. Hey, if you're watching this, please share this to your social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, that way it can help me get a little bit more exposure. Maybe get some more people in here with the chat, right? I know I don't have a whole lot of subscribers, so not a whole lot of people know to come in and visit and talk. I would love to get some more engagement with people. I'd love that very, very much. That's what I'm here for. I'm going to be doing this every Saturday, 5 o'clock. Usually Thursday, I'll probably bring up a topic on Twitter. You need to find where you can find me on Twitter. It's right down there in the description of the broadcast. Go in, give me a follow on Twitter. That way you can be ready to see what my topic will be. You can come in with prepared questions or comments about it. But I could see the Colts just completely blowing out Minnesota week 2. I get a lot of pushback for that. But you know what? This time last year, I said I expected the Colts to beat Kansas City week 5, and I had so many people laughing at me. Guess what? They beat Kansas City week 5. And they didn't even have Andrew Luck. And I thought they were going to have Andrew Luck. The Jets, I don't even want to talk about that game. If the Jets lose, or if the Jets beat the Colts in Indy, I'm going to be really, really upset. The Bears game will be interesting. I think the Colts defense will just dominate the Bears offense on that game all the way around. But the Bears defense is quite good. So I think the first team to score twice wins that game. And I think the Colts do win that game. And the Browns, come on. They have been on a spiral. Why would they not be good? Only because their locker room, they have no cohesion in the locker room. I love the fact that Baker Mayfield came out and said, you know what, it's time to shut up and play. Quit talking, quit letting social media and regular media, sports media dictate how you react and how you talk and how you feel. Shut your eyes, go out, play a game, work with your guys. If the Browns can do that and create a little bit of cohesion amongst themselves in that locker room, the Browns could be a very dangerous team. So that's that game that I got. It could be one way or the other. It either could be a really good game or the Colts could just beat the snot out of them. Because you don't know which team you're going to come across. You're going to come across the Browns that played the Ravens early in the season last year that just completely blew out the Baltimore Ravens, or you're going to see them from the second half of the season where the Ravens blew out the Browns. I don't know. So we'll find out sooner or later. Alton Huey, hey, thanks for joining the stream, man. Thanks. Appreciate that. But the Browns game will be a huge test to the Colts secondary. Huge test. They got some of the best receivers in the game, plus a good running back. So, even though I think the Colts will blow out the Vikings, and they got pretty decent passing game, they don't have Diggs. They don't have that really true deep threat no more. The Browns have multiple deep threats on their team. This is the game that every Colts fan needs to circle. You might think it would be the Ravens game or the Packers game or the Steelers game. No, it's the Browns. I know a lot of people are laughing at me, but it's the truth. That's the game that I personally will evaluate the Colts' passing defense. Because that's the best passing team that we're going to be playing against next season. They're just really good. And if they catch on fire with each other, they're nearly unstoppable. So what do you guys think? Yeah, exactly. Reese, they have Hooper as well. Fully agree, man. This is why I really do think that's the game. Everyone has got the Baltimore game circled, and yes, you should. Because Baltimore, I mean, they were the number one team in the NFL record-wise last year, right? They were one of. They had the best running game in the NFL, and Lamar Jackson's just nasty when it comes to running the football. But I honestly think the Colts front seven and Matt Eberflus and the way they play, I think they'll be ready for Jackson. Much the same way that the Tennessee Titans were ready for Jackson. Why? Because we play Deshaun Watson twice a year. Twice a year. And they're both scrambling running backs. They're both very mobile running or quarterbacks. Very mobile. Now, Lamar's more of a running back than he is a quarterback. But still, I think that what you end up doing with him is the same way you do with Watson. You put a spy on him. You have a guy like Okereke or Leonard spying the quarterback at all times, never letting him out of your sight and staying lined up with him no matter where he is on the field opposite of you, opposite the line of scrimmage. That's how you handle Lamar Jackson. On a run play, whoever's spying Lamar, when he does that option play, you don't take off to wherever the running back is. Wherever the quarterback's doing, you stay with him, period. Because he might keep the ball and no one else will know except you, and you'll be following him and hitting him when he even comes close to the line of scrimmage. That's how you take care of Lamar Jackson. And Darius Leonard has the athletic ability and the speed to be able to do that. I think the Colts would be relying a lot on Darius Leonard and possibly Bobby Okereke in the Ravens game. What do you guys think? Do you think that's probably the smarter way of going about handling Lamar Jackson? Or do you think, guys like Lamar Jackson, you kind of got to play a zone defense, right? You need all the players that you have looking in the backfield, watching the quarterback at all times. Because if he makes one person miss at the line of scrimmage, he'll have a ton of open field to make moves on. You need your entire defense. Yeah, exactly, Chaz. You got to hit him. You need your entire defense looking back at Lamar. And if he takes off, all 11 guys close in around him. But if you play zone defense, that's where he can chew you up. That's where he can chew you up in the pass game. But I'd rather force Lamar to beat me through the air than on the ground. Without any question, I would rather have Lamar beat me through the air than on the ground. Now, he did that to Miami week 1, threw like 500 yards against Miami. But it was Miami. We all know what Miami was doing last year. Oh, yeah, I agree, Chaz. Zone can be a bit too easy. Especially for a quarterback who knows how to just wait and receivers who can find the hole in the zone real quick and just turn around and just park right there in that hole. That's why guys that are in the zone, guys like Kenny Moore and Rock Ya-Sin and Xavier Rose, those guys, they have to not only be watching the quarterback, but you got to have peripheral vision. you gotta kind of have to slide toward whenever a receiver starts to go in your zone. You need to kind of slide towards them a little bit, but still not take your main focus off that quarterback. Ravens don't really have any super talented wide receivers. They got linebackers, D-line to beat them. Yeah, oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah. That's another thing. Lamar Jackson, you gotta have, if you have a spy on him like Leonard, never blitz Leonard against Lamar Jackson. Leave Leonard to spy him. That front four defensive line will get pressure on Jackson. It'll make him either throw the football or take off. I think they got more than just Hollywood Brown. Hold on. I think they picked someone up. I thought they did. Well, I mean, Miles Boykin ain't too bad. Mark Andrews, their tight end, is solid. They got tight ends. And Lamar Jackson loves to use tight ends. And J.K. Dobbins is going to be dangerous out of the backfield for Lamar. I think J.K. Dobbins and Mark Andrews are going to be those big-time security blankets to Lamar Jackson when he gets under pressure. Much the same way that Jack Doyle or Naheem Hines is kind of that, on third downs, kind of that security blanket for the Colts quarterbacks. I don't underestimate them. I just don't think that when you're talking about hitting Jackson, you have to. You got to make him uncomfortable. Just like the Titans did, right? In the playoffs. Make him uncomfortable. If he's sitting in the back without any kind of pressure, just smiling and waiting for guys to get wide open, of course he's going to tear you apart. Any quarterback could tear you apart. Pee-wee football quarterback could tear you apart if he could just sit there and wait and throw to an open guy, right? You got to get pressure on him. And that's why I think this Colts defensive line can do it now. I mean, my goodness, I think that they absolutely can, especially with DeForest Buckner. Like I said earlier, the best addition the Colts brought in this offseason to help the Colts secondary was not any of the cornerbacks or safeties that they picked up in free agency or the draft. It was DeForest freaking Buckner. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to put anybody else in the box. You don't have to. You can leave 7 guys in the box. Just the linebackers, just the defensive linemen. Just leave Leonard as a spy. That front four will get pressure. I'm telling you. We have a better front four defensive line than a lot of people give credit for. Especially if I'm sorry. Especially if Kimoko Toure is healthy. Okay? Justin Houston, Kimoko Toure on second and third and long. With DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart or Danico Autry at the nose tackle. That's going to be a dangerous front four, man. That's going to be a dangerous defensive line. They'll be able to get pressure on people. You know how many times, did any of you guys, I'm sure some of you watched my breakdown of Kimoko Toure and that Kansas City game. Oh my goodness, what a great game he had until he got hurt. He was held, I went through that, he was held 6 times. He should have had multiple sacks. I mean, he had 2 sacks already, but he should have had 4 or 5 sacks in that game. But he was held a ton of times. One time, he was tackled by the running back. Oh, yeah, it does. Because Buckner guarantees double teams. If you don't double team Buckner, he's the guy getting pressure up the gut. And you'd rather have pressure off the edge than up the gut Any offensive coordinator or quarterback will tell you, I will take the edge pressure before I take the pressure right up in my face. Because if the pressure goes right up in your face, you have limited options on where to go. Because if you take off left or right, you're running right into the edge rush. You basically have to go backwards. Oh, I think he will too. I think Grover Stewart had a very underrated year last year. Did a great job. He was the guy that was double teamed all the time last year and did pretty good with getting the double teams. He's going to see a lot less double teams this year with DeForest Buckner beside him. A lot less. It's going to be nasty. Could you imagine when Kemoko Turay and DeForest Buckner are side by side and they do stunts together? I've done my videos on how good Kemoko Turay is on a stunt and DeForest Buckner on stunts because of their athleticism and speed. It's so nasty. So nasty. I can't wait to see that combination happen. Exactly. You can't step into a rush. A quarterback would rather step into a pocket than step into a rush. That's why you want that pressure up the middle. That's what the Colts have been lacking. That 3-tech or that nose tackle that could get up the gut. That's why the 3-tech is so important to a 4-3. That's why we went out and Chris Ballard gave up his first-round draft pick and gave up $21 million a year to an all-pro defensive tackle who's only 26. And when his contract's over with, if he's still playing at a high level, we can give him another contract. DeForest Buckner's the key to the defense. We didn't have this kind of talent before. And we still played well against the run. But Eberflus needed to bring too many blitzes last year. And because he had to send so many blitzes last year to get pressure on quarterbacks, that hurt the pass defense. Because there weren't enough people out there to cover. That's why Malik Hooker looked terrible. Because Malik Hooker was covering people man to man, and he shouldn't be covering man to man up near the line of scrimmage. He needs to be allowed to be set back at the free safety position and cover over the top. Let Julian Blackmon at strong safety. Put him at strong safety on 3rd and long. Keep Kari Willis on 1st and 2nd down because he's a great box safety. He's got the athleticism, the speed, and the ability, and just the instincts to make plays happen. But Julian Blackmon, once he gets healthy, if you get him and Malik Hooker at the safety position standing side by side on obvious passing downs, you can leave them back there. Bring a 5-man pass rush or a 4-man rush and play man press coverage and watch this pass defense look 10 times better than they did last year. 10 times. You won't see guys like Jameis Winston sitting in the pocket and just throwing 50 yards downfield and guys like, Evans or Godwin wide open. Because Malik Hooker was not allowed to be deep to cover that stuff because he had to be man press. He had to move up and cover somebody man to man. And because he's a safety, he's not covering a wide receiver. They got him on a tight end or a running back. A lot of people didn't realize that, and that's why they're saying, Malik Hooker sucked last year. He didn't suck last year. He did his job. He did what Matt Eberflus was telling him he needed to do. It's just the problem was Matt Eberflus needed Malik Hooker to do something that is not in his wheelhouse. I think you'll see a huge improvement in what Malik Hooker can do this season because Matt Eberflus will be allowed to keep Hooker in the position that he is naturally good at. Guys, again, if you're still here watching, share to your social media, man. I need the help with exposure. Really do. Don't forget to hit that subscribe and like button. Please, please. I really appreciate you guys sitting here and conversing with me. I really like that a lot. I love interacting with you guys. Like I said, I'm going to do this once a week, every Saturday, 5 p.m. Mark it on your calendars. On my Twitter account, on Thursdays, I'll put out a tweet on what the discussion will be about, just like I did this week. I said I was going to be talking about the secondary and whether or not the Colts should play more man defense. Actually, let's go look at that poll, because I dropped a poll on Twitter, and I want to see what that poll is. It finished up not long ago. Draft Central followed me. Nice. Still looking. Sorry, guys. I'm just scrolling through my notifications for that poll that I had. There it is. Ended today. So the question on the poll was, curious Colts Nation consensus. Should the Colts deploy more man coverage or stay using zone as their primary? Benefits and hindrances to both. And that I'll be doing a live stream today, 5 o'clock, covering this topic. I am surprised at the results of this poll coverage for Colts Nation. 51.2% said we should do a little bit more man coverage. 48.8% says stay primary zone. My question now is, after we've had this talk, do you still have this same thoughts? Do you think the Colts will still use the zone defense as their primary, or do you think that they will use man more often? Man, I'm sorry, guys. Back of my throat is killing me. I'm so sore. Talking. Oh, man. I don't know how long I've been talking for, but this has been fun. Let me look. Crap. 50 minutes. Going on an hour, guys. This is a blast. Yeah. So, I want to thank everybody that sat here and joined watching this stream. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit notification. Share this. Let people know. If you're a Colts fan, if you're a NFL fan, I don't care if you just follow a different team. I cover lots of NFL news. I'm on Sportscaster. I am a sportscaster for Sportscaster. I cover NFL news. That's my job. When I cover them, I upload them here to YouTube under NFL General. All my Colts stuff goes to Colts Law right here. Colts Law with Lawrence Owen. So, share this out. Love to get some more followers. Appreciate that very much. Thank you, everybody. Reese and Chaz. Alton. Charm City Player, Brandon Ace. Shrey. All you guys. Shout out. Much love to all of you for joining here. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law. I want you to have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.